Hello and welcome back to Yorkshire Railway, and welcome back to another model railway review. So if you watched my previous video of the update on the layout build, you would have noticed or maybe seen there was a package in my Rails of Sheffield bag, and today is going to be that review. So it's not a locomotive, but is a piece of rolling stock, and interestingly enough, it's actually a piece of rolling stock that's from a manufacturer that I've never purchased from before. So without further ado, here it is. So it is a Revolution Trains 00 gauge FNA-D Nuclear Flask Carrier. So this is a really impressive model. I saw it on the shelf at Rails for Sheffield, and I thought, oh, you know what, I'm getting all this track, and I thought I'll treat myself to a new piece of rolling stock. It's certainly not like buying a locomotive, but it is nice to purchase something that you know, is really nice and detailed. It looked great anyway on the display model, so I'm really excited to get this out for myself. So anyway, let's take a look at the packaging. So obviously from the front, it's really nice because you've got the Revolution Trains logo, really nice bright packaging, you know, with the sort of like reddy brown, green, and then this white colour with the lovely technical drawing on the front. Obviously it says Nuclear Flask, FNA-D, and 00 gauge, 1/76 scale. Turning it over, you can see that it says produced in association with Direct Rail Service, and they are actually the contractor, I believe, for nuclear flask carriers, because if we flip it over onto the back, you can see a lovely picture of two locomotives from Direct Rail Service and a nuclear flask wagon there as well, and it obviously got a little bit of information on there. So if you want to read that a little bit closer, you can certainly pause that and take a look. Further box, you know, we've got Revolution Trains, and if you want to get one for yourself, it is RT FNA-D 402. So without further ado, I think we'll take a look at this out of the box. So it's lovely hard packaging, so I'm not expecting any damage. Spoiler alert, I did check when I got back to the car. So let's have a look at these pieces of paper. If I can it's quite cold in there today. So there we go, so we've got some information. So yeah, if you want to pause and read that, basically tells you about the prototype, the model itself, and the warranty, as well as some acknowledgement on the back. Wow, this is amazing. So we've got an exploded diagram of every single component that's on the nuclear flask FNA-D, as well as the part numbers as well, so that's great. So I presume if you damage a part, you could probably get in contact with Revolution Trains and get a new one. And this one, single-sided, but basically got locking hook, secure tab, cover position for normal running, and then we've got cover position when fully open. So it does look like you can move the actual flask itself. Not really sure why you'd want to do that, seeing as during running operation it will be closed. Obviously definitely looks better, but I'm not going to be taking it off today, just because I don't see the point, and I don't want to risk needlessly handling it should I wish. Anyway, we have some detail packs, so you can see if it'll focus. There we go. Yeah, so we've got some valve gear in there and some chain link, screw link couplings by the looks of it, as well as a lamp, so that's great. Nice to have a little bit of detail. Certainly the lack of detail in there as well suggests that this is a very detailed model as it is. Right. There we go. Very similar to the Hattons packaging. Okay, so I'll put that back in there. As you can see, mine is number 9005. Okay, and there's the first look at the wagon. So, that comes off quite easily, so yeah, I'm not necessarily too worried about that. There's no damaged parts in there. This just looks like a big solid lump of metal, so that certainly add a bit of weight to the flask. There's some great detail. That's a bit annoying, and then it comes open quite easily. Oh, there we go. There's a little clips on there, and that'll fasten that in. I might take you to a brighter spot just so that there we go. So I've taken you just somewhere a little bit brighter, just so you can see the incredible detail. So I've just felt there we've got sprung buffers. They're not metal, but they're big and chunky, so that is nice. NEM coupling that's kinematic as well, so it should be great turning, as well as obviously the bogies are articulating, so that is great. Some lovely bogie detail on there as well. We've got, you know, valves and everything. This signage, I'm not sure like if the camera can even pick it up, but look at all that detail on there. That is absolutely fantastic, you know, and the same has got to be said for the texturing of the plastic as well. Like, that's absolutely incredible. Really, really nice painted finish there. On the other side, it's basically just the same, so that's great to see as well. I love these handrails. Yeah, they're plastic, but they're not too delicate. I mean, it did flex a little bit. And then underneath as well, I mean, look at that. That is absolutely incredible. Some of the pipework detailing you can see there. We've got a cylinder. I presume this is like an air coolant system for the nuclear waste, just to basically stop it overheating. I'm not really sure, but either way, that is absolutely incredible detail. I'm really, really happy with my purchase. Don't get me wrong, I know that Scale have a pack out of the same wagons, and knowing Scale, they probably are really great, but you know, I'm happy with this. Like, say obviously the other one has a flashing light, that doesn't really bother me too much. So there we go. So there's the Revolution Trains FNA-D Nuclear Flask on the track, and I think you can absolutely agree, you know, they have hit it out of the ballpark. I don't know too much about the company itself, but yeah, it's absolutely fantastic. The level of detail that these guys have managed to achieve. As well as, you know, I know that Scale have their own version out, and that does come in a pack. But the pack, you have to buy two. Also, they do run as a singular entity, as is proven by the picture on the box. So it is a shame that Curoscale are doing that. I think it would have been better if they'd also offered a separate set. So, you know, if you wanted to buy the one with the flashing light in it, as well as just the front flask, that certainly would be great. But yeah, I'm definitely happy with my purchase. This is this cost £35. So Curoscales for the two are £75. So this is actually a little bit cheaper than buying theirs. And to be honest, for the sake of a flashing light, I can't see much difference when looking at the pictures of the two together. Obviously, I've never had the two against each other. I mean, I'm not saying I'll probably never get the Curoscale one if they ever do a run and I've got the budget to go for it. Definitely, I'd love to have a rake of them, but you know, the first thing that I thought when I actually got home was, oh, I haven't got a direct rail service locomotive. So yeah, it's going to have to be a different locomotive that hauls it, because apparently prototypically they always double head these, just in the nature that a locomotive breaks down, the other one will be able to haul both the locomotive and the flasks back, which I think is great. So yeah, we'll get it hooked up to a train and we'll send it on its way. Okay, so just down to the track. Obviously I have quite intricate point work around my station area, so it'll be great to see how the flask wagon definitely works, you know, just giving it a little bit of shove. That's quite impressively free rolling. You know, not necessarily a yeah, certainly slowing down there a bit, but it's, you know, managing those points absolutely fantastic. Yeah, it is slowing a little bit down on this more tighter area, but oh, that's my fault for not changing that point work. That's, yeah. Oops, that's my fault. Gave it a bit too hard of a shove at the beginning. Oops. Right, yeah, I'm giving it a bit too hard of a shove now, so. Okay, so I'm going to run mine with my Hattons Freightliner Class 66. I know obviously it's prototypical to double head these, but I haven't got a coupling at the front of the Hattons, so obviously I can't run my O&E, and I know for a fact that if I try to top and tail them, due to the weight of the Class 66, they will literally just push this singular wagon off the track. So yeah, I'm not going to bother running that. I'm just going to run it non-prototypical and hope that the Hattons doesn't break down. Otherwise we're all doomed. So let's give the Hattons some juice. Oh, wrong way. There we go. So the Hattons will be a good test because I know full well that lightweight wagons get pulled off the track. So yeah, it'll be really interesting to see if this gets pulled off the track. Nice prototypical speed. Not sure if it's the Hattons coupling or Revolution trains, but I don't know if you can sort of see that it's a bit jerky. I've never really noticed that before with any of my other wagons. So whether it is that the NEM pocket sort of can just come out a little bit and then it sort of like catches up speed. I'm not really sure. But am I the only one that can sort of see that? Maybe I am. Might just be in my head. But I think it looks absolutely fantastic. Okay, so time for some ratings. So this is for Revolution Trains FNA-D Nuclear Flask Wagons. And we'll start off with the performance, which I've awarded 4.7 stars. And the reason it hasn't quite been given 5 stars is because it's mainly to do with the coupling. as I said in the video, I did sort of notice, and I've ran it again with a few other locomotives, and it sort of has this like ping pong effect where I think because the locomotive, the wagon is so light, it sort of gets hauled so quickly into the back of the coupling and then bounces off it constantly, and you end up with a sort of like ping pong motion. It's very, very subtle, but at the same time it is noticeable, and it's one thing I didn't. It's a little bit off-putting for running it. I imagine in a greater rake this might not be as bad because there'll be a little bit more weight and tension, but obviously because I only have the one at the moment, it is noticeable. And that is another thing as well, the wagon is very, very light, so certainly in that whole nuclear flask, you know, because it's not going to be added to a massive rake of wagons, there could be some room for a little bit more weight in there. Certainly a couple more metal plates inside the actual flask itself might just give it a little bit more weight to stop this ping pong effect. But who knows, I'll have to try and get my hands on some more, and I'll give that an update test once I've got a few, and we'll see if that ping pong motion still happens. But we'll move on to detail. Now detail, I have awarded 5 stars because I just simply cannot justify awarding it anything less. The fantastic amounts of separately fitted parts on here, the sort of like metal plate that's on top of the wagon. Obviously it's a moulded plastic piece, but it's such a fine detailed piece, and then you've got like the corrugated flask as well. It's just absolutely fantastic, and it all fits together so nicely to produce this really high quality model. Then we'll move to livery, which again it sort of ties into the detail as well. I've awarded 5 stars, so it's very, very nicely painted. Obviously you have the white flask, the green tealy sort of coloured chassis, but it's the amount of printed detail that is on here as well. You've got the printed all along the chassis, the painting on the wheel axle boxes. It's just absolutely fantastic, and the fact that it's all legible is even more impressive. Certainly, you might need a magnifying glass to read some of it, but you can definitely read it, and that's what makes this an absolutely fantastic model. Going back to quality, it's pretty much the same reason for the performance as well. It's all down to that sort of ping pong effect that's just dropping it down for me. Other than that, my main notes are I thought the flask was a little bit easy to unlock, so I imagine over time, for those of you that want to look in it, that clip might wear a little bit, and then you might find it might slide open a little bit as you're running it, or if you set off particularly vigorously. But yeah, that is something to take care with as you run it in, but it's mainly the ping pong issue that I've got at the moment with it. And then value, I think for what it is, it's a highly detailed model. It's a very, very free running model as well, and I think the price of £35 is great. I can't really fault that. It's an absolutely great value for money. It is technically cheaper than the Acura scale one as well. Obviously that comes in a pack of 2, but certainly I think that this is a great model, and definitely from what I've seen, I don't think there's that much in between this and the Acura scale, other than the fact you get 2. So if you really want 2, go for the Acura scale. If you just want the 1, go for the Revolution trains. And that was when we come to the overall rating, which is 4.88 stars out of 5, which I think it's an absolutely fantastic score. You can't really deny that this is an absolutely great model, and I definitely would recommend, if you've got room on your layout for something like this, definitely go and pick yourselves one up. The guys at Rails were absolutely fantastic service when I asked for it, so I got mine from theirs, but they do sell them at other retailers. So yeah, I definitely say go and get your hands on one if you can. And that is all for today, guys. So I hope you have enjoyed this little bit of an unusual rolling stock video. And if you have, don't forget to give me a thumbs up, as well as drop a comment down below and hit the subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already. That will massively help me out, and I'll hopefully see you in future videos. So take care everyone, have a good evening, and bye bye.